Hello, hello everyone. Good morning. I'm Kumari. Today I'm your soft skills trainer. I'll be training you on the concept of crisis management. Today's topic is crisis management. We are going to learn about different kinds of crisis, how to tackle them, what are the things which cause crisis, and how to manage crisis in our corporate world. And today today about coming to crisis management. First we'll learn about what crisis management is, and its characteristics, and the things which causes conflict, and different types of conflicts, and how to tackle them, what are the effects, and how we can conclude this conflict. Of course, when you're working in business environment, it's not easy to work in groups or with people. We always have clash of personalities, and we'll see how we can overcome them. So basically, what do you mean by crisis? So basically, what do you mean by crisis? In management, the definition is a major unpredictable event, or it can be an activity that has potentially negative result. Suppose there is a very sudden situation which was unexpected and which gives ill effects to the corporate, that is called as crisis. Sometimes it even questions the existence of the corporate in the future. Such kind of situations are called as conflicts. And in there are majorly three common elements in the in crisis. I mean, crisis in characteristics of crisis. There are three common characters. They are there are crises which are threat to the organization, it if this crisis arrives, there won't be much future to the organization. It may fall, it may lose the market, or it may lose employees, good employees, and the element of surprise. Crises are always, most of the time at least, they are very surprising, unpredictable, or we haven't thought these kind of situations will come. Those are surprise crises, a short decision time. When crises arrive, because it is surprising, we don't exactly have much time to deal with it. So we'll have very limited time where we have to do the best decision, we have to manage it, and then we have to start working on it, devise a plan in a very, very, very short time. We'll see how we can do it. So the common features of crisis is that it is the situation materializes unexpectedly. As said, it comes very, very unexpectedly. Nobody would have expected it, or nobody would have thought of it. Nobody would have dealt with this kind of situation. So it is very surprising. Decisions are required urgently. There is very short period of time. In the short period of time, you have to get a decision where you have to get a decision where you it is the more satisfying and more workable decision. When you are dealing with the crisis, firstly you should identify the basic threats, as in the primary threats which should be firstly taken care of, and then devise plans for the next upcoming situations. Urgent demands for information are received. when you're supposed to deal with a crisis, you're supposed to know you a lot of information. You're supposed to have a lot. Yeah. Okay, you're supposed to have a lot of information, a lot of sources, which can be suppose if you have data, it is easy to analyze the data and then arrive at a solution. So you need to have information and sources. There is sense of lot of loss of control. Obviously, suppose there is a very disturbing situation, say a building got demolished, and it was unexpected. Example, at that time people around it will panic, they'll start running around, there won't be any kind of control over there. That is loss of control. This is just a simple example. When you imply it in the corporate level, same thing will happen. If something happens, everybody will panic, everybody will be running out of their wits, and they won't have one control to one hold of authority to control the situation. That is crisis. Urgent demand for pressure built over time. When you're dealing with this kind of situation, it pressurizes you, it stresses you. You can't think of a way to outcome all these things in a successful way. So that builds a lot of pressure because you're supposed to analyze the crisis, plan for the crisis management, and then choose people to manage this. So it all builds pressure. Routine business becomes increasingly difficult when you are dealing with a crisis, and you are supposed to work the daily routine every day. It is like two works at a time, whereas one is very stressful, one is everyday stressful work. So building these two, managing these two things at a time becomes difficult over time. Demands are made to identify someone to blame. When something goes wrong, sometimes it is an individual's fault. So at that time, sometimes it is maybe a corporate's fault, a department in the corporate's fault. So you're supposed to identify who is responsible for this particular crisis, and then you point your fingers at them, and then let them correct their mistakes. Reputation suffers. Suppose, example, there is a brand named X, and then it has say a quarter of the market. But something goes wrong, or somebody starts saying this uh, is a wrong brand, or this brand is not how what it advertises. So at that time, their reputation suffers, and they are going to lose the market uh, in the corporation field. So reputation is also important. Communications are increasingly difficult to manage. When there is a crisis, people tend to keep it to themselves sometimes, or people over communicate what they have, which both are not going to help. So communication will suffer during the crisis. So specific disasters of for an organization, there are different kinds which causes the crisis. Example, in natural disasters, example, earthquake, tsunami, or any such kind of situations are called as this were natural disaster crises, technology crises. If you take example, Nokia losing their share of market, that is their technological crisis. Or this is when you have something wrong in your tech field, science and technology field. If something goes wrong, that is called as technological crises. Or example, the Chernobyl disaster, uh, or else heartbleed security bug example. Okay. And then we have crisis of malevolence, meaning say there is a corrupted officer in the management, and he does something only for the benefit of himself, and betrays the corporation. At that time, it is it is called as malevolence crisis. uh, and then confrontation crisis. These Suppose a confrontational crisis also, sometimes the deeds are not met by the employees or the officers. At that time, somebody has to take action, but it is not going around. That is called as confrontational crisis. Organizational mistake. Sometimes the whole organization, they make some mistake, or suppose they are supposed to deliver product Y, but they deliver product A. At that time, it is mistake of the organization. That is called as organizational misdeed crisis. Crisis of skewed management. Suppose if crisis of skewed management means, suppose if a person is focusing only on suppose if a person is uh, concentrating only on his short term goals rather than the long term goals. That is called a skewed management crisis. At this time, what happens means, maybe the organization gets skills, gets the profit for 2 or 3 years, but in long time the organization is not going to last. That is called as crisis skewed management. And the rumors, as I said before, suppose if a company product A is being released, and somebody is going to start rumors like, okay, this is a bad uh, product. People are not going to buy it, although it is a good product. That will not help company in any way. That is called as rumors crisis. So when you are resolving a conflict, you can't entirely win sometimes. At the same time, at that time, you can't lose the game. So you're supposed to choose something like where you can win and the other party also can win. Here is a basic example. There are two donkeys where stew is on both the sides, and now but these two donkeys are tied together. Suppose if it wants to eat, both are also, they are not seeing that they are only seeing the hay, but they are not seeing that they can't reach without cooperating with each other. So now doesn't matter how long they are going to pull apart, they are not going to even take a step forward or going to eat. They are simply going to starve to death. So now, by managing the crisis, by cooperating with the management, by cooperating with each other, with your peers, if you plan it, if you work it out together, then you will be in a win-win situation. So to manage crisis, people are going to there is a subject which emerged in the late 1980s, which is called as crisis management. This crisis management helped to this one deal with crises in a very organized manner. uh, th- very organized way, starting from identifying the crisis, planning the crisis, planning the management, and how outcome of the management, outcome of the crisis, everything will be managed, and this whole process is called as crisis management. This is a very new subject where it deals particularly with crises. Crisis planning. So first thing when you go for the crisis management is how planning, assessing the risk. Where when something goes wrong in the company and you are supposed to say deal with it, first you are supposed to know like what are the risks of taking certain plans, what are the risks of this crisis, what happened to the organization, what are the disbenefits or misbenefits of these crises. Produce plans. Without plans you can't even go about a day. That's how it is. And when an individual himself uh, can't work without a plan even for a day, how do you think a big organization having hundreds of employees and levels of management is going to work? So one proper plan is need to be drawn, is need to be well prepared to plan with the crisis outcome. Define rules in when you're planning crisis management. People are the whole task must be divided between officers and employees, whether they may be high level officers, low level officers, pertaining to uh, their uh, skill sets, their level of management. The task should be divided between the people, the people in the organization. Draw up a communication plan. No matter how much you work, suppose you are not communicating with your higher officers, you are not communicating with your higher officials who are actually dealing with the crisis. Suppose you are not like communicating with them properly, then the whole plan goes astray. There you can't get for the solution easily. It prolongs the solution, the way to get solution. While you're planning, you're supposed to schedule meetings and then divide the work, produce a contact and organization chart. So suppose you're dividing people to work with these crises, and then you when you're dividing people, you're supposed to know what kind of groups you can make, how many people to make, and what are their weekly tasks, their individual tasks and group tasks, to make the crisis management more easier. Well, while dealing with the uh, crisis, people are going to lose hope. People are going to lose their morale. They are going to get anxious, stressed out, because they won't see the end of the tunnel light, because this this crisis will make them this crisis will make them think there is no outgo of there is no good outcome of this crisis. So at that time people should hold their morals, and they should work together, and they should somebody should promise a good ending. That should happen, a part of crisis management. Public plans and conduct training. Even without training, people can't take up tasks or responsibilities. So one should be a group of people should be trained to manage the crisis, and those people should be able to train others in the organization, other departments, employees in the organization during the time of crisis to overcome the to how to deal with the crises, how to manage crises, how to go through all these things. They are supposed to be trained. So one group of people are said to be trained to manage crisis. Sometimes mock tests, all these mock tests and uh, say drills can help in dealing with the real life situations. So at that time people will know, if every time there won't be crisis of real time. At that time people should go back, review the cases, do the case studies of people who actually have went through the crises and how they overcame. That is a very good way of planning crisis management. So at that time, taking the same formula and imbibing it in a new crisis, sometimes it may work. There are high chances of them working. So, totally, crisis management is the process by which organization deals with a dispute and unexpected events that threatens the organization. So, coming about crisis management team. You see, crisis management is very situation based management system. One kind may not work for the other, or example, even in the organization there are many different tech department, HR department, financial department. So one kind of department in the crisis may not emerge in the second department or in the other department. So at that time people should be ready for every kind of situation. First thing you need to know about this one, the aim of crisis management is to be well prepared for the crisis, ensure a rapid and adequate response to the crisis, maintaining clear lines of reporting and communication. So when you're supposed to manage crisis, as discussed before, when a regular employee is given a task of crisis management, he has to do two works at a time in a day in a very limited proportion of time, which disturbs his regular work, which stresses him out, and which is not good for the company. The outcome will never be good for the company. So a special team will be built only for the crisis management, that is called as crisis management team. The roles and responsibilities of the crisis management team is establish what has happened. First, suppose the crisis has already happened. When we are going to discuss about crisis, we know it has already happened. So we are supposed to establish what exactly has happened, to know what has happened and put it down on a paper. That's how you do it. Assess the impact. Suppose crisis may be in the initial stages of destroying the company, which is easy to resolve and which is easy to deal with, and you can very easily go to the solution in a very short period of time. Sometimes the crisis can go out of hand. At that time, you need more time to work on it, more time to resolve it, more time to arrive at a situation. So at that time, we need to prevent all these things, we need to know at what stage we are in dealing with the crisis. Resolve any conflicts of interest. Suppose you you are dealing with a situation, uh, and you have your own personal goals which contradict with the goals of the company, and then you're supposed to know, well, what to prioritize first and what to prioritize next. That is connected to the next point. Identify the and prioritize actions required. Uh, Primary things to take care of is the well-being of the company, and about well-being of the company. Example, public image of the company. Suppose if the public image of the company is destroyed, then they are going to lose market, which threatens the existence of the company. So you are supposed to know how to maintain the image of the company. There are some few people will give primary importance in the crisis management, being image of the company. So few companies will give importance to the production of the company. Sometimes, like, say the company has enough image, enough demand, but there is not enough production in the company. At that time, customers are supposed to wait for the product. These days, market is very tough. For one product, there are tens of companies which are giving the same product. So the consumer are going to see somewhere where they can easily get the product in their time will be saved. They don't have to wait for the same product given by company A. Instead, they'll go for company B, which is providing same product, or maybe even with extra beneficials. That happens. And then crisis management, control is more important. Suppose if there is something going on and everything is going on helter skelter, nobody is doing their work, nobody is taking care of the crisis in the actual way, everybody is doing a hazardous kind of work. At that time, it should be organized, planned step by step, and then distributed. The work must be distributed. So all this should be done in a very controlled way, reserved way. Responsibilities of crisis management. Uh, when there is something, when something goes wrong, first thing, we know it has gone wrong because when the normalcy goes away, when the normalcy is disturbed, every when employees don't do their regular work, when employees are going to are when employees work is disturbed. At that time, every day, when everyday work is not going to be done, the organization is not going to meet with everyday uh, uh, tasks. So if you don't hit a task a day, organization is going to lose money. So bringing back the normalcy, bringing normal situation again, should be the first responsibility of crisis management team. And losses. So suppose when the word itself says crisis, meaning something, we are losing something. The situation is going out of control. When all these things happen, the losses are set to happen. It is like a chain reaction. So organization is going to lose money, lose power sometimes. So to control the damages, the responsibility of crisis management team is to control the losses, to encash any opportunities. When the situations go bad, opportunities will be reduced. And when opportunities are reduced, there are no new opportunities arriving. When existing opportunities is itself reducing, can people get new opportunities? So management team should have devised a plan or how to get the maximum outcome from the maximum profitable outcomes from the existing opportunities, how these opportunities can get us new opportunities. That should be a main point to discuss, to put forth on the table in crisis management team. Survival. When sometimes survival, uh, threatens the existence of the future of the organization. So such kind of crises should be managed in time, and the future of the organization should be more benefiting. So to manage the situations, the management team should make a responsible planning. Whenever you deal with an outcome, whenever you deal with a task, you're supposed to know, you're supposed to say, you are supposed to know that the outcomes should always be positive, the outcomes should always be beneficial. uh, th- So, when crisis management teams are dealing with the actual bad situations, they are supposed to know the end of the situation should be good. It should be beneficial, profitable. Okay. An ideal crisis. An ideal crisis management team requires representation from various groups. Okay, suppose you have a assume you have a tech based company where one is developing team, another one is testing team, financial team, and then you have human resource department. Now you have everyday administrative team which deals with your land, electricity, the office which you do, all such things. There are different kinds of department, right? Coordination between these two, the all these departments is very important during crisis management. Suppose so there in the crisis management team, you're supposed to have one person who represents their whole department to coordinate between the departments and resolve the issues. There will be a person from financial department. If it is a very big organization, people have legal departments too. They will have lawyers. Example, there are many people who simply sue companies only so that they can damage their reputation. At that time, although there is nothing wrong with the company or their product, they're supposed to deal with these legal actions. So they keep one department, one dedicated to legal issues, which has lawyers. So one person from that department to be added to the crisis management team. Risk management, same as crisis management, but risk management is a everyday task in the organization. So that from risk management team, one person will be in this crisis management. Information and technology, in every company, I haven't seen any company which doesn't have technological head. So one person from that department. Human resource, one who deals with hiring people, coordinating between every employee. That one, you're supposed to know what kind of people you're needed. So one person from that department. Financial services, the whole organization is based on money, profits, benefits. So from financial, from that one person. Real estate management, it depends on what kind of company you have. If you have that department, you're supposed to take one person from that department. Corporate security, say firewall of the company is threatened. At that time, you are supposed to take one person from that company. Public relations or communications, uh, how a company is represented in the media, how a company is represented in front of the people, how they are shown to the people. uh, that is more and more important. So one person to manage everything with media and relations, one person is very important in the crisis management team. Crisis management is not always easy. It is not a one day task or 2 day tasks. It has many difficult situations to be dealt with. So principally how to deal: first, only when the crisis management team members understand and are communicated to the crisis plan will they be effective in their risks. Okay, say something really went bad. People are all working on different things. They don't know what exactly they're working on, or they haven't even analyzed the crisis properly. They only know what crisis have come, but how they have come, how it has happened, what to do to outcome this. They don't know properly. There is no proper communication, there is no proper planning. If things don't uh, go in a very organized way, if we don't understand, if we don't analyze, if we don't assess the situation properly, then things are really going to go bad. Doesn't matter how much of hard work you put, how much hours you're going to put every day, extra every day. The second thing is, will the company be ready to respond appropriately to a crisis? The crises always are always unexpected, but when you are entirely unprepared for the situation, there is this one law, right? When something is supposed to go wrong, it will go wrong. Murphy's law. So suppose if you don't follow that rule and you think everything is going to be good, and uh, you simply go on planning your everyday work schedule and organization, only taking the good situations into consideration, but not the bad situations or crises into your uh, everyday tasks. Then the things are definitely are going to go wrong. One day it will be good, one day it will be bad. Things are unpredictable, but if you don't manage, if you don't set your things for the even for the unpredictable losses, unpredictable things which are going to go wrong, you are going to suffer. A crisis management team needs the following to be in a place to be effective. So, assessing, the word assessing means someone who can determine the situation, someone who can judge the situation properly, meaning to evaluate the situation. There must be clearly identified assessors. So you are supposed to clearly analyze the situation. You are supposed to clearly evaluate the situation to know what exactly happened. First thing is first. What happened and how it happened is the first thing you're supposed to know. And then you are supposed to interrupt how it has happened and everything. Source of the situation. Uh, so who did what wrong, everything comes under assessing the situation. Role to it. You're supposed you when something goes wrong, you should know, you should take people who can deal with the situation easily. Suppose there are 10 employees. For first employee has two skill sets, eighth employee has 21 skill sets. So you're supposed to identify people who can deal with it easily, and then uh, you should divide the responsibilities accordingly. There are levels of management. We're starting from the common fresher employee to the um experienced CEO, the tasks should be divided according to the equity, and responsibilities should also be divided. So when one is assessing the situation, yes, this crisis management team should provide the guidance, should provide the data to the assessors to get the accurate situations, and then receive recommendations and provide approval and directions. To resolve a situation, you can't depend on one solution. You need to have hundred tens of solutions, where you can say you can choose one best outcome. To have hundreds of situations, you need to respect everyone's solution towards resolving the issue, and how to tackle it is what you're supposed to know. You're supposed to plan, you're supposed to act on it, be accountable for the direction. One who has made the wrong decision, the person should be accountable, take the responsibility of things which has gone wrong, and they are when given the responsibilities to uh, manage the situation, they should be ready to take it up. Goal 3, we must have a person designated for internal and external communication efforts. When we are losing uh, uh, everyday routine, we are going to lose in the image which we have built in the public media. In the people are going to not going to come to you when something is going wrong. So maintaining the same public image, if not taking it as a challenge, and building your public image is more important. One of the situations which occur during crisis management is getting out a lot of giving away a lot of information to the public. You should, or giving way to less information to the public. You're supposed to know how much information is to be showed to the public, and how much information should be crypted out, or should be devised as classified information. Effective and proactive communication will create and build the perceptions that the organization is under control. You should show to the public that the situation is under control, everything is under control. We are trying to get back the balance which we had before. To do this, you're supposed to have good communication among the peers, among people, between the levels of management and everybody. uh, you need to have proper understanding about the situation and what is going on around the company. That is to be known, the core responsibility. So as I'm mentioning, right from the beginning, the core responsibilities is to analyze and assess the incident. When something has gone wrong, why did it go wrong? What are the situations which made things bad? Uh, and who are responsible for the situation? That is to be known. Resolve incidents. Suppose uh, so once you have assessed all the situations, you're supposed to know how to overcome the situation, and how to solve the things which has gone wrong. So you're supposed to devise a plan which can where the company can outcome a company has a good outcome. Provide recommendations. uh, as I said, one for a problem there are n number of solutions. You are supposed to take all the solutions given into consideration and choose the best solution out of it. Execute actions to facilitate the return to a state of normalcy. Normalcy is the very important thing. You're supposed to manage in such a way that normalcy is not disturbed. At least normalcy comes back as soon as possible. Because when normalcy goes away, even if you solve the crisis and there is no normalcy, company is going to lose. Selecting a leader. Mm, Not only crisis management, you're supposed to know what kind of leader to select to manage this team. When this crisis management team is so important, the leader is as important as the team, if not more. So, what kind of what kind of leader can be chosen? First, the leader maintains the cohesiveness of the team. Success leadership entails coordination, regular meeting, trainings, evaluation of the threats to the business operations. Okay, one who is a better leader is one who can stay controlled, one who can stay calm, one who can think, analyze the situation even if the things are worst. Such kind of people is to be chosen as leaders, one who can manage the stressful situations with ease. How can they manage? Okay, how can they manage is one thing. How they are going to manage is second thing. We'll see how what all qualities a leader must have. Successful leadership entails coordination, regular meetings, training, and evaluating of the threats of the business operations. So he should know how to coordinate between people. He should have proper training, and he should know how to train employees. And he is the one who is supposed to assess the threats to the business operations. The leader is the one. The leaders establish basic principles of crisis management. So the basic skills of a leader of crisis management team is to create a written plan. Without planning, we can't move forward in dealing with the situation. We are not going to move towards solving the situation without plan. So planning is the first most important thing. Define the specific roles. When you have tackled this, when you are tackling the situation, you know what to do. Suppose you have a set of tasks towards the dealing of the situation, then you're supposed to divide the tasks among the peer among the employees, and you're supposed to uh, give them the tasks which they can manage. Creating a communication plan. When you are managing the situation, suppose there is a 7-day work given, and somebody does the work in 2 days, whereas others take another 10 days to do the same work. All these things, if you are not going to communicate properly, there will be a rift between the employees and the officials who are dealing with the crisis management. So you're supposed to know, deal with it. Suppose one who has finished the work in 2 days can take up the work, remaining work of the other employees who is dealing with it for 10 days, and save the time and resources of the company. Establish a training schedule. As the crisis management is supposed to be trained to deal with the crisis and new outcomes, you're supposed to every employee is to be trained properly. So that is the responsibilities of a leader. Creating a crisis culture. You should every time the situations won't be the same. The time won't be favorable to you all the time. So a leader is to be uh, you know is to make every person in the company be prepared for the outcome. Doesn't matter what kind of outcome it is. The leader must prepare every person to face the situation with by balancing the work and their personal life. The crisis management team members should have the personality traits. The personality traits are well informed and authoritative. First thing, you need to have data, well informed. You need to have idea of what is going on, who is dealing with what, how much have we tackled the situation, how long should we deal with this crisis. All these things is the information, and which is to be need which every team member of the crisis management should know. Experience, they should be experienced. If you give fresher the task which is dealt by the manager, he can't handle it. Same thing. Okay. Okay, they should be polite and patient. First thing we are going to lose is patience when we are dealing with the situation. So you need to be polite and patient, brave enough to face the reality. You should have little guts to face the reality. You should accept the reality. Having everything and still and still having a bad mindset, negative mindset won't you know brave anything, like won't make any positive change. So you should have a positive approach. Effective communicator. For Okay, communication is again and again the same thing, which is basically very 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 important. One should listen to what others say. One should again say something more meaningful. Risk manager, same thing. One who can deal in very bad situations without stress or without any much bad damages. Problem identifier. First thing about crisis is that you should know what kind of problem you have to deal with it. So accurate and reliable. Suppose you have, as I said, you have many solutions. You're supposed to take a solution which is more appropriate to the problem solving. Stability of mind is more important to deal to get the maximum outcome out of the situation. Availability and willing of to the work in stress. Even under stressful situations, you're supposed to be available to do the more work, more than what you can uh, face every day. And uh, you should be trustworthy. You can't betray the company at this time of situation. So in conclusion, crisis management means uh, how to deal with crisis management, and effectiveness of crisis management is easy. You should always have control in the bad situations. First, planning of the crisis situations, crisis management, how to deal with the crisis, precautionary measures. Prevention is always better than cure. How to not to deal with this kind of situations again? What are the things you can take care so that it won't repeat again? The second time when you're dealing with it, you should be having more safety measures and stuff. And then increased staff awareness of the organization. People should be aware of what happened, what and how not to happen. And then increased confidence and morale within the organization. uh, and then reduced. Next time, you're supposed to take as little risks as possible. And then in, increased staff awareness of the organization. Enhanced safety for the staff. So in the on the whole, you're supposed to know how to deal with the crisis. Doesn't matter you're trained or not. First thing, you should know how you should stay calm, analyze, organize, and then deal with problems. There are few real life examples of how people have dealt um, with the crisis. Example, Johnson's company. Once there was a situation where uh, a particular person has poisoned 64 bottles of Johnson's baby product, one product, where the whole company got bad name. At that time, what Johnson's did was that it called back every product which was released on in that particular month. It called back every product, and then released a new product which was not poison. That so that's how they dealt successfully with the crisis. Thank you. Physics minute.